I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It, episode 36. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
We're talking today about eating mistakes that you make that make us fat. Now, I used to be fat when I was young, so I can say this. I've counseled thousands, probably tens of thousands of people on weight loss. The people that follow my advice usually do pretty well. People that don't follow my advice usually don't. It's not a secret. But we're talking today about things that you do, but also the chemistry, the neurophysiology, how the brain works. We covered a lot about that in the first half of the show. So if you're just tuning in and you missed that, I may brush on it if I have time. I got so many things I want to cover. Go to my website, drjoe.com, and this show is going to be archived in my blog. If you like listening to blogs, podcasts, go to Eating Right. For the Health of It is the name of it. That's right. For the Health of It is the name of the podcast. And it's on Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes, and you can download it there as well. But either place, you can download them. And on my website, actually, I have a lot more, but you can go either way and listen. And follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. Send me your email address so I can sign you up for our newsletter. We send out a lot of good information. Sometimes we have free tickets to lectures that I give. Many times I'll do a lecture, and it's a public lecture, and some companies will charge for them. But we can get you free tickets many times. And we send out a lot of good information. So send us your email address. Say, just give me a newsletter, and we'll put you on a newsletter list. So we're talking today about bad habits that make you gain weight. And I do want to talk about a trend. In fact, I just got a message at the break there on my Facebook and on my website. So you guys send a lot of questions. And if you would, just send them to me through my website. It's easier than going through Facebook. You can do it if you want to. You can do it through Instagram, but it's just easier if you send it to my website because I check that all the time, drjoe.com. I want to talk about gluten. Now, this big craze right now is gluten-free. Should I go gluten-free? Is it a good idea? Will I lose weight? And the answer is yes, you should go gluten-free, absolutely, positively, 100%. And if you give it up and don't substitute with gluten-free foods, chances are you'll do extremely well. Because what happens is this. People give up the gluten. Now, gluten is a protein. It's found in wheat, barley, and rye. And it has two components that are bad, gliadin and glutenin. And when they get into the body, the immune system recognizes this as a foreign protein and attacks it. Some people are more reactive than others. The gliadin looks like the cells in your colon. So when the immune system starts attacking the gliadin, it can also attack the colon and cause an inflammatory reaction. And that inflammatory reaction could be something as simple as gas or bloating, chronic diarrhea, expulsive diarrhea. If it's really bad and you have celiac disease, it could be really serious. But inflammation in the brain and inflammation in the colon goes systemic and can actually go to your brain as well. And so now your brain can have swelling, and that can cause mood swings, anxiety, depression, a lot of big issues there. So you really want to stay away from that, and not just the gliadin and glutenin reaction, but the fact that wheat, barley, and rye break down into sugar. And here's how you gain weight with sugar. If no one ever explained it to you, I'm going to explain it to you, Lucy. My father looked just like Ricky Ricardo. So many people said, they always joked about that. And he said, wow, your father looks just like Ricky Ricardo. Anyway, I digress. You eat sugar. The glucose goes into the cells and is utilized as fuel. And the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin goes to the cells and acts like a key and unlocks the cell and allows sugar to come in. That's how insulin works. If you eat too much sugar, the cells are being bombarded with this insulin, and the cells say, all right, I can't keep opening up and letting more sugar in because I'm going to gunk up the works. So I'm not going to let the insulin open up the cell. And you become insulin resistant. We talked about leptin resistant in the brain, insulin resistant here in the body, also in the brain. It's called type 3 diabetes in the brain. A lot of people believe that's a link to Alzheimer's. Another show, another time. So you eat a lot of sugar, releases a lot of insulin. The cells become insulin resistant. And so now the sugar keeps floating around in your blood. Can't have sugar in your blood. Too much sugar in the blood is a mild acid, and you've got to be in a very fine balance in your blood of what's called pH, or the amount of acid. And you don't want to go too acidic because you can go into acidosis, which ultimately could kill you. So your body is very brilliant, and the body releases calcium to neutralize the acids in the blood and then carry it out of the cells. And if it carries out through the kidneys and you have a tendency to form kidney stones, calcium forming in calcium and acid coming through your kidneys, kidney stones, gallstones, it can build up in the muscle tissue, it can cause wrinkles, and you're losing calcium. You're wasting calcium. So the sugar's floating around, and they try to neutralize the sugar, but the sugar has to go somewhere now. So the sugar goes back to the liver and gets converted into something called glycogen. Now, glycogen is where we store energy. That's our reserve tank of fuel. Once all the glycogen stores are filled up, can't store it there anymore, what are you going to do with it? Goes back to the liver, gets converted into triglycerides. Triglycerides then go back into the blood and get stored as fat. So the reason you get fat when you eat a lot of sugar is glucose being used, glucose is done, goes to glycogen stores are filled up, goes to triglycerides, gets stored as fat. So why would you want to do that? And that's why it's so hard to lose the fat. Because you have to stop putting sugar in, so then the cells become less insulin resistant. The cells go, I haven't had sugar in a while. I'm going to let that insulin open me up and let some sugar in. And if you not have sugar in your blood, your body then has to create sugar from what? It starts burning fat. It's called gluconeogenesis. Where does it occur? Back in the liver. And if you get a fatty liver from eating too much sugar or alcohol or bad foods, the liver can't do its job because it's all gunked up. And then you have more serious problems. So we got to keep the liver clean. Got to be happy. Stop poisoning it. And the neat part is the liver heals faster than any other organ in the body. So when you stop putting the junk in, it immediately that day starts to heal. And it heals fast. So it's a good thing and an easy thing to stop damaging the liver and make it heal. And then you can do supplements too. There's something called Silmarian, milk thistle. That'll help the liver heal. Doing digestive enzymes. I have Dr. Joe's digestive enzyme product. You might want to try that if you eat a lot of cooked foods, because you should be eating a lot of raw foods. If you're eating cooked foods, a cooked food depletes your body of enzymes. You can take them, Dr. Joe's enzyme support, and put it back in the body. And those are on the website, drjoe.com. And so let the liver heal. And then we can start burning the fat as fuel, and then we can start to lose the weight. I mean, I have stretch marks on my chest. I have stretch marks on the back of my legs. I totally get being fat, folks. And I was young at the time, but I still struggle. I want sugar just like you do. And the older you get, your metabolism drops. You have to eat way less calories, or what we call energy now. You have to have much less energy put in your body. It just has to happen. It is what it is. And if you're eating good quality foods like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, salads, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, avocados, tomatoes, mangoes, that's going to give you the nutrients that you need. You're going to eat a lot less and save a ton of money. I can buy a big, it's called a clamshell, a plastic container of organic greens, spring mix, at one of the discount grocery stores for like $3.50. And I could easily make 5-6 salads out of it. How easy is that? Salad dressing in my first book, Eating Right for the Health of It, I tell you how to change your diet. And then the second half of the book is recipes, because everybody says, what do you eat? So I wrote it all down. Have a whole chapter on salad dressings. But the simplest, easiest, quickest, cheapest salad dressing, 1 part raw organic apple cider vinegar, about 1.5 to 2 parts organic olive oil or any type of good oil. Avocado oil works, coconut oil works. I'll add a little bit of water. And then if you want to sweeten it up, you could add some stevia to it or grind up some berries, puree some berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. Put that in there if you want to make it a little sweeter. Amazing salad dressing. So inexpensive. So buy a bottle of salad dressing, use it, and just reuse that bottle over and over again. I'm big on reusing everything. Upcycling, we call it. So you're going to give the body the nutrition that it needs, and you're going to be fascinated on how quickly your body starts to heal and you start to lose weight, and you say, why didn't I do this sooner? You got to give it the 3 days, though. We talked about that earlier. You got to give it 3 days to break the addiction of what we're talking about there. So if you're going to go gluten-free, which I think you should, giving up the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas, don't replace it with gluten-free bread and gluten-free cookies and cakes. Now, I know somebody out there, at least one of you, probably many of you, are going to send me an email and say, Dr. Joe, what can I make a sandwich with? Well, the answer is you shouldn't be eating a sandwich. If you take everything out of the sandwich that you should be eating, it's called a salad. But you can put hummus on your sandwich, you can put avocado. And if you want to get crazy, and I know you're going to yell at me and think I'm a little weird, you can use like romaine lettuce and do a roll-up. You can do collard greens. Big leaf of collard greens, do a roll-up. I know you're mad at me. It is what it is. But I promise you, folks, once you give up the sugar, you're going to do well. And then once you eat it again, bam, you're going to want to keep eating it. You're an addict. and you have to address it like an addict. So is gluten-free good? Yes. And the other thing, too, I think about this because I've been around a long time, that 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we didn't see so much, well, maybe 30 years ago now, we didn't see as many issues with gluten. You didn't hear about celiac disease. You didn't hear about gluten intolerance. You didn't hear about how it's affecting the ADD and the ADHD and the links that it has to mental disorders. But a while ago, farmers came up with this great idea. I say that facetiously. You spray weed killer on the crops of wheat, and it was easier to harvest. Sounds like a good idea. Save money, take the stress off the harvesting tools. The problem is that weed killer now stays on the food, gets into the soil, gets absorbed into the next year's batch, and you're eating it. And glyphosate, one of the major weed killers they use, is essentially an antibiotic, and it's a hormone disruptor. So it messes with your hormones, and when it gets in your colon, starts to kill off the bacteria. Now, there's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria in your colon. It kills off both. What it doesn't kill off is something called yeast. Now, the yeast is there to help you digest sugar. It's perfectly normal to have yeast in your colon. But when you have a yeast overgrowth, that's when it becomes a very serious issue. So the yeast and the bacteria battle for food. They're in this constant battle. And if the bacteria start to die off, the yeast are going, woo, less competition, more food for us, let's make babies. So they make little baby yeasts, and then the yeast becomes colonized with yeast, and then the yeast says this. I don't know if they really talk, but I'm going to make believe they do. And the yeast says, I'm bored. I want to go on vacation. Where can we go? I know. Let's go into the blood system and see where else we can go. So if you're eating a bad diet, you can cause inflammation in the colon, which can cause little tears in the colon, which can cause something called leaky gut syndrome. Now, 30 years ago, or whenever it was, I was talking about leaky gut syndrome, and it was poo-pooed by the establishment. It's no such thing as leaky gut syndrome. That's ridiculous. You would die if your colon had holes in it, and food would be absorbed, and you would die. Well, guess what? I was right. It's another Dr. Joe was right. And small little holes allow undigested pieces of food and undigested piece of gluten to be absorbed into the blood system. The immune system doesn't recognize this foreign protein and attacks it. And now we have an autoimmune reaction if it's bad enough. Sometimes it's just simple as an allergy. So what happens is the yeast looks at these little holes and goes, woo, let's go into the blood system and go for vacation. It floats around, and it wants to set up shop in warm, moist places. So where are some warm, moist places in your body that yeast would do very well in? How about your feet? How about athlete's foot? How about your crotch? Ladies, vaginal infections, rectal infections around the anus area, under your armpits, ladies under your bra, along your belt line. So these are great places for yeast to set up shop, and you get a systemic yeast infection. The problem with that is it can be very serious. So here's a little test you might want to try. It's not definitive, but it's a little homemade test. Take a clear glass of water, fill it with water, put it next to your bed tonight. Tomorrow when you wake up, get a big mouthful of spit. Scrape your tongue with your teeth, get a mouthful of spit into the glass. You have up to an hour to check it. And if within an hour, you start to see these little tentacles start coming down, kind of like tentacles on a jellyfish, chances are you have a yeast infection. If you do, come see us. We can do a little blood work on you. It's a prick of the finger sample. We can test for food allergies, but we can also test for yeast. And if you do have a yeast infection, it's a process to get rid of it. It's not something that goes away quickly, but trust me, you want to get rid of it because it can cause some real serious problems. Brain fog, emotional disorders, a lot of things happen if you have a yeast infection. So if you have that situation, that's a test. If you do find it, that's a preliminary. Come see us and we can test you for further. And then put together a nutritional protocol for you because there's a whole process you have to go through to get rid of it. Really important to get rid of. So should you go gluten-free? Absolutely, positively, 100% yes. Should you replace it with gluten-free foods, gluten-free substitutes? The answer is absolutely no. We don't want to do that. So gluten sensitivity is a big issue. And this was interesting. I found this. I want to quote this. Gluten sensitivity was diagnosed mainly by ruling out celiac disease and other wheat allergies with people with symptoms. But researchers are evaluating antibodies to gliadin, which is part of the gluten. We talked about that, as a possible biomarker. So we can do a blood work and test for that. About 7% of the population had these antibodies in them. Interesting. This is where Dr. Joe was right again. 18% of people with autism, 20% of people with schizophrenia also tested positive for a reaction to the gliadin. maybe Dr. Joe's been right all along, that the gut affects the brain and the emotions. And we talked earlier about the stomach pushing up against the diaphragm. If the stomach is up against the diaphragm, you're not digesting your proteins properly. Proteins break down into amino acids. The amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Tyrosine becomes dopamine. Dopamine gives you pleasure. We talked about that earlier. Tyrosine becomes serotonin. Tryptophan becomes serotonin. Serotonin helps you focus. If you're not processing serotonin properly, they give you medications to utilize the little bit of serotonin that you have. How about we just make more serotonin? Well, that's a good idea. How do we do that? Fix the gut. Oh, that's how the gut affects the brain and the bacteria in the colon. We're finding now the bacteria in your colon talk directly to the brain by way of something called the vagus nerve. They can send messages up to the brain. So it's really fascinating, the research that's coming out, the things that I knew about 20, 30 years ago. We knew it was happening. We knew how. We didn't know why. Now we know why. And I was right. So you want to get the nervous system working, the digestive system working, and good nutrition. Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, minimum amount of nutrients every day. They're 2 powders, take a scoop of each, they taste great. You can put it on salad, you can mix it in food, you can mix it in oatmeal if you wanted to. I just take it with some coconut milk or almond milk and drink it. So there's a lot of ways, you just get it in you. I don't care how you get there. Now, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have in the Atlanta area, USA, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Love to have you come see us. Go to my website, drjoe.com, or just Google, you can Google Dr. Joe, but drjoe.com is just as easy. And we can set you up a time to come see us. And we'll work on your back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling. Stop suffering. So many of you are suffering with pain, and you just deal with it. And every day in my office, patients come in and they say, I've been meaning to come see you for blank. 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And I don't know why it took me so long to get here. Okay, stop being that person. Get on the website, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment online. We can call you, whatever works best for you. And we'll get that set up for you right away. If you have digestive problems, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, we'll check that too. You want to talk about nutrition? We'll check that too. We want to get the nervous system, digestive system, and your nutrition working. If you've ever been in a car accident, ever, if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. There's no way if the car was damaged, you weren't damaged. And if it doesn't hurt now, it will in the future. The sooner you come see us, the better off you're going to be. Like today, if it happened yesterday or today, is a good time. But even if 50 years ago, come see us. So stop suffering needlessly, drjoe.com. If you want to order my supplements, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, the B vitamins, the probiotics, the digestive enzymes, the vitamin D, we didn't even talk about that, vitamin D and emotional issues. We talked about that, I think, last week. Go to my website, Dr. Joe, and you can order them there, or go to Amazon. We have an Amazon page as well. You can order them from Amazon as well. We want to get you well and keep you well. And I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you, coming up with supplements that make your life easier. Nitric oxide, Super Greens, Essential Source. Chiropractic care, we have 3 offices now. We want to build more offices. If you're a chiropractor and you want to join our team, or if you want to merge your practice with ours, give me a call. Love to talk to you, because we really want to get people well as quickly as we can, and we need some help. So we'd love to talk to you if you're looking for a job or if you want to merge with us. So we're talking about mistakes that you make eating-wise that make you gain weight. And the glyphosate is now being found, the weed killer that they spray on the wheat, is now being linked to hormone imbalances. Hormone imbalances can cause you to gain weight. What do we talk about? Leptin. Remember, leptin's a hormone. Makes you feel full. Ghrelin makes you feel hungry. Insulin is a hormone. Opens up the cells to allow the cells to receive sugar. So why would you want to mess with your hormones? It's not a good idea, is it? And we're doing that all day, every day when you're eating the bad foods. I just want to, if you're watching this on TV, I just saw one of my lights go out here. So sorry about that. If I look a little darker, that's okay. Got to talk about sleep. We got a few more minutes here. This is a mistake that you can be making that can make you fat. You have to sleep. Sleep is so important. People who get sleep more than 7 hours a day, including naps, can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. 7 to 8 hours is the Goldilocks zone for most people, the zone you want to be in. If you sleep too much or too little, you increase your risk of heart disease. And now my light just came back on again. If you're watching this, that's if you're wondering what's going on there. Sleeping fewer than 5 hours or more than doubles your risk, 5 hours or less, doubles your risk of being diagnosed with angina, which is heart pain, coronary heart disease, heart attack, or stroke. Sleeping more than about 7 or 8 hours increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, and more than 9 hours of sleep results in a 50% increase in risk of heart problems. So you could be sleeping too much. And if you are, then we want to look at your digestive system. Are you absorbing your nutrients properly? Are you getting the right nutrients? Maybe you need some super greens and essential source. I take them every day. It gives me a ton of energy. Maybe it's an adrenal problem. The adrenal glands produce adrenaline, which gives you energy. So there's an imbalance somewhere in there, and to ignore it is extremely dangerous. Like I said, most people say to me, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer so long? And I don't know why. I don't have that answer, folks. I'm giving you what you need to do. I hope you do it. I was talking to my producer, Shaney, and we talked about that. And, you tell people what they need, and if they don't want to do it, that's okay. Well, then don't ask me again. This is what my opinion is. You're okay if you don't want to do it, that's fine. And the same thing if you come to see us as a patient. If you come to see us, be serious. If you just want to be a looky-loo, don't make an appointment. We need those appointments reserved for people that are serious about wanting to get well. So if you're a looky-loo, if you have a question, you can send it to me through the website, drjoe.com. I'll answer it for you. But don't come in and waste our time with paperwork and the staff time and going into a room and me spending time with you, the staff spending time with you, and you go, nah, I don't want to do this. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. When you're ready, and you will be someday, we're ready for you. So got to talk about sleep. So important. Weight gain. When your sleep is deprived, your body decreases the production of leptin. Remember leptin? It's a hormone that's produced in your stomach, goes into your hypothalamus, makes you feel full. So if you're sleep deprived, you're producing less leptin, and you have a problem. At the same time, it increases levels of ghrelin, which makes you hungry. So just like high fructose corn syrup decreases your production of leptin and increases your ghrelin, sleep does the same thing. So stop doing that. Get to sleep. Now, some of you have trouble sleeping, so here's a couple of tricks on you. Number one, the room has to be dark. If you can't make your room dark, get yourself a mask. Go to a drugstore, spend $5 and get a sleeping mask. Temperature-wise, right around 70, 72 degrees is the Goldilocks zone. So you want to keep it the right temperature. If it's summer, sleeping without socks on. In the winter, sleeping with socks on actually helps. You want to remember, you got to get right into that zone there. If you pee a lot, how many people wake up and pee a lot? Raise your hands. As you get older, that happens. The muscles, bladder is a muscle, becomes weaker. So what you want to do is this. Stop drinking a lot of fluids right around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, assuming you sleep normal hours. Right around 3 o'clock, give yourself around 6 hours, 7 hours before you go to sleep, and you'll do a whole lot better. Then you won't wake up and pee so much. That's why I take the Super Greens, the essential source. I drink my fluids early in the day. 3, 4 o'clock. If I go past 4 o'clock, that's like my magic number right there. I can't do that. Room has to be dark. If you can't make it dark, we talked about that, or put up blackout shades. My bedroom, I have blackout shades. Temperature, pee, quiet is important. If you can't make it quiet, get yourself some earplugs. Get your electronics out of the bedroom. I have Wi-Fi in my house, and I have a timer. I bought it at one of the big box stores, and it's a little timer you buy for $6, and you put it on your Christmas tree lights. And my Wi-Fi goes off every night right around 9, 10 o'clock, and automatically comes back on around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. This way you're not sleeping with electromagnetic frequencies running through your body. Because electromagnetic frequencies we're finding now, the Wi-Fi waves, are affecting sleep, it's affecting brain function, it's affecting moods. Your cell phone, don't carry it on your body if you can avoid it. I know in Georgia they just passed a law, hands-free. You cannot be holding, your phone can't be touching a part of your body. I use a wired headpiece. I don't like yelling into the phone with speaker, which is fine if you don't mind that. But I use a wired headpiece. When you're on the phone, hold it in your hand, far away from your body if you can, with a wired headpiece. If you read the directions in your phone, no one ever has. It's that little pamphlet that comes with your phone. It clearly says in most phones, I guess all of them, I don't know, but most of them, do not put this next to your head. Where do you hold your phone? Next to your head. You can hold it away from your head, a few inches away from your head, but don't let it touch your head. Because electromagnetic frequencies can affect a lot of things, including sleep. Sleep affects ghrelin and leptin production, which can be one of the mistakes you're making to get you fat. Now, the good news is you can catch up on some sleep. If you have a rough week, you can usually catch up on it, sleep in on a Saturday or Sunday. That's good. But there comes a point where it's the point of no return. And that's going to be a big problem for you. So before you go to bed, stay away from sugars, especially grains. They raise your blood sugar and they inhibit sleep. If you wake up hungry, you may have what's called hypoglycemia, and you may need to have a snack before you go to bed. So we talk about intermittent fasting. Oh gosh, cover that fast. 3 days a week, good idea. No, I promised I was going to cover this. 3 days a week, skip dinner. The longer you go between meals, like from lunch to breakfast the next day, the more you're going to burn fat. So it's called intermittent fasting. You can look that up. I've covered it on other shows too. If you want to listen to other shows, go to my website, drjoe.com. Hundreds and hundreds, over 1,000 hours of audios and videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I put everything. You can catch my podcast, For the Health of It, on your podcast services. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, you want to order the Super Greens, the Essential Source, the other supplements, go to my website, drjoe.com. We're more than happy to have you come see us. In the Atlanta area, Atlanta, Georgia, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. drjoe.com. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on a WSB Radio app.